Good morning. It's quilting time. I'm ready. Are you? So I started warming up because we had talked about that before already. So you can see that I just tried to clean up a little detail over here. This poor little guy had no clamshell on the end. I'll turn it a little bit so you can see. So he was open to the elements right here. So I had to fix him up. So I'm going to grab a piece of paper and show you just what I'm thinking for this initial design, but I want to leave this in there because he's pretty much ready to go. So alrighty, we're doing some cute fills for ovals right now. Oh! Goodness sakes, I just bumped my camera. Did you see that? Let's hope he doesn't fall off. Let me make sure he's tightened up. I have a clamp that's on my table and my chair just hit it, which is so unusual. I usually bump it up top. Good morning, Patsy. Gosh, I feel like I'll get to say hi to all my friends this morning. So here, want to know what Honey did this morning? I'll show you. Since we're all getting to be friends, Honey made sous vide egg bites for me this morning. They're so good. He's a really good cook. Okay, let's get started. Enough chit chat, right? Let's get down to the quilting part. So on this design, I'm just going to make a little baseline so you can see the design itself. This is the template that I used to create this design right here. So this is a simple oval, and this one is the 1.5 by 3 inches. So what that means is when I sew this width right here from side to side is 1.5, and this is 3. So yes, this is Freemotion, but you guys all know that we have a lot of the designs on there that are done with rulers. So I just want to make sure that we're referencing that. So what I've done to make the clamshell is it's just half of that. So the distance from here is 1.5, and the base of my clamshell is 1.5 also. So in case you need that. So I'm going to stick it on the paper here. Let's just adjust our camera so you can see the paper. As I just want to make the shape, and then we're going to talk about the quilting that we want in it. And I'll make 2 of them because we have 2 different designs that we're going to do. So I've got my stitching line disc. And that's important because the stitching line disc is giving you the accuracy. Well, we'll see. It's not that accurate for the moment. So then I just scoot it over, and if I was sewing, that's exactly how I would do it. I'm lining up this center line right here, and then I'm just hopping over and just shifting down for each one. So the first one that I want to do as we do it, this is the center of the one here, so I could line this up as a reference. But just right here, I'll just kind of vaguely make a mark. And one of them, it doesn't really matter if we have a mark or not, and one of them, it does. So for the first one, I'm going to put this right on the center, and I'm going to mark a little line this way. And depending on if I'm at the top or on the bottom, I'll travel. And this is that midline. And I'm going to make a line on the other side like that. And then it depends on, once we're in the quilt, we'll figure out which travel path we'll use. But then I'm just going to sew some little circle with a curl and come and follow this out and make another one. And follow it and make another one. I think about 3 can actually fit in. And then if you wanted additional lines, you could always put another set of lines in there. It really depends on what your tolerance is or how much density that you want to add. So, you can just leave it as a single, which will leave all this as open. And then the clam itself is the frame. Or you can add more lines all the way down if you want to until you can't fit anymore. And that's the fill that we're going to use for the first row. On the second row, I'm going to do a little curls like this and fill it in and come back. Now, do I care if I'm right on the line? I don't. I'm not going to worry about that. That's too complicated. Then here, looking right here as the wedge, I'm going to use that as a visual template, right? So there's a little triangle wedge in my mind that I'm using to fill this in. Do I care if they touch or not? No, I don't care. It's going to look fine. Put one right in the center there. And then you can either continue filling from this side and come down, or you can fill from this side. It's up to you. So you're kind of visually wedging it, right? Like that. Filling this one. And then, of course, your last one has to fill up the space, right? So he could be a baby. We don't care. But that's the two designs that we're going to do today. So let's see if there's any questions before we get going. All right, everybody's just watching intently. Nobody has any questions so far. Good morning. Oh, sewing is always fun. It's a good day if we can sew, right? Okay, let's get started. Let's sew. So I showed you these are called stitching line discs, and these are pretty inexpensive. Anytime you're dealing with rulers, these are mimicking the spacing of the ruler foot. So my pencil is my needle, and then the foot itself is a 1/2 inch circle, and so is this. So if you're ever working with rulers, those are really great tools to have. So let's set it up. Let's make sure we have a good... Right here, you can see I've got some old templating in there from when I drew it out initially. So let's see if we can get a little closer so you could see better. And I think I'll zoom it in as well. So I think we'll make it a little bit bigger. Let me just get this off of there. There we go. That way when we get up to the clamshell, I think you'll be able to see it a little better. Okay. So for this one right here, I'm not going to put anything, because if you look at this line right here, it's really not going to show. So right here, this part is the center line. So when I line up that ruler to make the straight line on either side, then I'm going to use that as the reference line. For me, I want to put both of the reference lines in first. So let's think about it for a minute. Let's kind of draw it out or talk it out as far as path. If I sew up here and I go across and I come down, then I will be starting my little circles right here like this, and I'll end at the top. So either I'll have to travel down one side and come over, or if let's see if we can do it another way. Either way, I think that's going to be best for this bottom row. I think that's the simplest. And we can use the straight edge to travel down. So one side of this is going to be double stitched. As another option, I could stitch down this side and come over. So really you have a choice. Either your double stitch will be on the straight or on the curve. I think it's going to be easier to double stitch on the straight line and make that accurate with a ruler. So we'll do that. All right, so let's go ahead and scoot over. So here's where we'll put the ruler. I can free motion it, but I just know it's not going to be straight because it's a little bit longer than I would feel comfortable with. So let's go ahead and put our straight line in. So it's going to be about a 1/2 inch, so I'll travel here and then just line that up. So let's start in the middle with our circle. So these are kind of small. So the key is going to be making sure that you're sewing continuously. Okay, you cannot stop in the middle here. So I'm going to tell you one more thing. On this one, when I'm coming on this side, I'm touching the line or as close as I can get. When I'm on this side, I'm going to short the line. And when I sew out, that's when I'll touch. Okay, so let's see if I can see where I'm at. I can barely tell. Where am I going? Okay, I think we're going back out. So when I come back out this time, I've got to touch. And then here I'm right on this straight line. I can line this up, take a few stitches slowly at the beginning, make sure I'm in the line. Okay, and then I can just move on down. Double check that I'm in the line for the first stitch, because if you're off, that's the place where you can adjust. So here I've got this line. Let's see if we can show you a little better. Maybe we can do it upside down. I think that would show a little better. Oh yeah, that's perfect. I can use either side. No, I can't. This side. This is the center of this, so I'll line this up. And if I wanted a bigger spacing, I could move this over. For example, if I wanted to create a bigger space, I can put one of these reference lines on, like this, and line this first reference line up right there. But we've already started, so we're just going to use the same markings. So right here, this is going to give me a 1/4 inch on each side of the center line. Okay, and then here we're free motioning. And essentially my foot is the marker on this side, right there. You can see that as long as this edge is touching the line, then we'll get a 1/4 inch on that side as well. So I'll square it up by putting the line at the bottom. I'll show you. So right here, there is a line, a straight line, and by putting it right on there, I'm squaring it up to this line. So that helps keep these a little bit straight. So let's go ahead and start. So I'm going to be backwards this time, can you tell? So touch that side. And as I come out on this side, I'm going to touch. And I can come over here and get it lined right up. So double checking, kind of sewing slowly, making sure I can get right on the line. And here, if I want to, I can use this as the reference and sew over. So maybe about right there. Let's see where we need to go. Okay, square it up again, right there and right here. So then I'll come in until the foot touches, make my line. Now, I could make these lines freehand. It's okay if you want to do that. I just think that straight lines, I really like them to be straight. You know, I like that I can do that and it's not hard with the ruler. So I'm going to go ahead and use it. But feel free to just go ahead and do that. It's a straight distance right here, so it's not complicated to actually sew that. So here we go. Little circle. I got to make that a little wider on that other side, right? So I'm trying to put in 3. I'm short on the right side, this side. And then as I come back out, I'm going to fill that in and try and touch. Okay, and then see if I can get in that stitch line. Yeah, good. There we go. And we'll go right down. And now let's cross over. So you can see this is not super complicated. And it's okay if they don't look super perfect. It's going to look amazing. Remember what we said about looking micro? Once we pull this out and we show the whole thing, it's going to look awesome. All right, lining it up right there and right here. That'll help give us that nice spacing. Get my ruler touching. And then we'll just scoot over. All right, 1 stitch. There we go. So I like to make that circle in the middle, start there, and here I'm going to make a little bit more of an effort to touch that outer edge because I was failing to do that on that one. So touching here, short on this side, and as I come out, that's where I'll fill that side in. Touch on this side, short on that side, and fill it in. And then just coming over to my line. Taking a couple of stitches to check it, make sure that I'm not out of tolerance, and then stitching down to the bottom and over. So again, using this as my reference line on this side and squaring it up on the bottom if I can. And then just taking those stitches. It's okay to free stitch. Remember, this is free motion. So I can always free stitch a few stitches without any trouble. I think that if you practice that, you're going to get so much better at it. So free stitch any chance that you get, anytime that you have that opportunity to do any kind of overstitching on the line. If you can practice that, you're going to get so much better at it. It's really a powerful tool for doing any kind of continuous work. So right here, when we get to the middle, we're going to work on making the first circle, touch this outer edge, and this one on this side will be short, and we'll catch that on this side as we go around. So a little short on the right side, and then touching when you come around. And we'll come over. Now, rather than try to worry about getting back to that side, we want to start filling these. So what I would do at this point is just get myself to travel over there. So this is the practice opportunity. Slow but steady movement. You have to move. What happens if we don't continuously move? The needle kind of sticks. Like if you go super, super slow, the needle is going to draw up super slowly, but you're already pushing the fabric. So the needle starts impeding the movement here, and that's what makes it jerky. So a steady movement. You can go slowly, but that needle has to be actively coming up and down. So not, turtle slow. You got to have a little bit of movement. So this is the second design. I like to work one side at a time. And let me draw in the wedge really quick. Wait, I guess we better check for questions, right? Because we started going. We're just sewing. That's what we're doing. So let me see what you're saying. What did you think? Did you guys like that design so far? Was that good? I celebrate you guys on Fridays. I'm glad you're here with me. I get lonely. I really look forward to Fridays because it's really fun. So I want to see what you're sewing too. You guys got to send me some pictures because I'm nosy. I'm naturally curious. I want to see what you're sewing too. So yeah, I'm glad the drawing on paper is helpful. There's a lot going on here, and if we can kind of break the design into a smaller part, that's going to help you. So the design that I drew is actually a little bit different than what we're going to sew, because this part on the second row, the clamshell, is coming down a little further. So these are actually going to have to stretch a little bit more. So that's why I wanted to draw in the wedge, just to show you. Let me get my pencil out. Okay. Oh, I just dropped it. Butterfingers. Okay. If I hop down, I'll be able to get down, but I'll end up tripping over things and everything else. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get another one. Hi, Carmen. I saw that. Carmen had some really good answers the other day, so thank you very much. Yeah, Patsy, good question. So she says that she misses the line when she's going back tracking. So like this part right here, maybe this is hard. So we did use the ruler, and I try to take maybe just 1 or 2 stitches initially to make sure I'm in the line. And you'll notice I don't just go, like some people do that. I mean, I've seen that. And I can even tell you, it looks like this clamshell is a little off because this side is bigger than this side. Oh, who cares, right? It's okay. This is the center line that we'll use right here. And this design is less forgiving if it's not centered. You can really see it. I think this design will be a lot more forgiving. So that's also something to think about. Whenever you're sewing, some designs, they show the asymmetry much worse than something else. And this secondary design is a lot more freeing and flexible because it's just going to fill the space, and it can kind of curve this side or that side. It won't matter. So this is the wedge in my mind I want to fill in. So I'm going to kind of curve up and put this one in, and I'll curve back to the center, but not necessarily all the way back down. I can just get to the center line, and then that makes this part shorter, and then center this one, okay? And now I'll come back down and do this one, curve, curve, and then we can, this is 3. If I felt like I needed another one, maybe I need to make these a little bit bigger. And let's also talk about something else. If I do this one last, I could maybe sneak over here and just go down like that. What do you think? I think we'll try that. We'll see if that'll work. All right, let's get going. So kind of curve up. And here I'll widen it just a little bit. Like I said, don't worry about if it touches or not. We don't need that level of precision for this. If you can do it, great. But if you can't, then really intentionally make them not on top of each other, and then it won't look like you're trying to make them on top. So we'll come down, and we kind of have the reference here. So let's go the other way and see if we can get that travel down at the bottom on the inside. So this one, if we go, we got to make it touch on there, and then we can go on the inside on this side. Oh, I don't know if I like that. I like this one better. That one's not ugly, but they do look different. So this, I guess that wouldn't work. We'd have to stitch back down. I don't like it. Do you see what happened? I'll show you. I'll scoot over. So we were trying to use that for travel, but see how that doesn't double up? And I think that's really noticeable. When we have all of these in, it probably won't be, but I don't like it, so I'm just going to do it the same way we did on this side. So let's go ahead and we'll just keep going. Oh, see, we learned something every time. I like to go over the top on this one, back to the center, over the top, and fill in right here. So when I come around, I want to fill that in a little bit more. Let's go all the way down. That puts a little bit of extra texture. You can see it here too. And then we'll just do it from here. There's our wedge. Over the top. Fill it in. And over the top. And you can always change size to fill the space. I mean, that's the key, is that we will fill the space, right? We may have to change the sizes to fit it in. And I would say here too, like when you look at this, I can make these bottom curves a little shorter. Like if you don't like this part, we could start the curve down here, and then this one will reach up and fill in whatever space is available. So we'll try that on the next one and see if you like that one better. So here's what I mean about the movement. Keep a steady rhythm, okay? Fingertip movements as we travel. So that's accentuating the clamshell. You're getting a little extra stitching, which will be fine. It's just like an outline. So let's kind of make our little curves here a little shorter. Not quite all the way up there. And let's see what happens. So we'll use this one to fill in. And then this one. And we'll come down. And then I'll kind of let you see what you think. What do you think? There's a little less of this, but I don't know. I think I like this better. I think I might still go with that. Maybe just starting a little shorter, but still arcing. Because if we arc more shallowly, I'll show you what I mean. So right now we're kind of starting level here. So if we start right down here, we can arc and we can cut this arc a little shallower. So that'll decrease the spacing right there. I think I'm getting too picky, right? Over top. So you saw that if we go on the inside, it's going to change the look, right? So that's fine. You can pick it. You can go inside or outside. It's up to you. I like this outside look, so I'm doing that. Come back down. And we'll just start going. Fingertip movements right now. I'm just really moving very, very small movements so that I can gauge each stitch. I'm looking right inside. I'm used to looking at this foot and determining that needle position, so I'm really comfortable using this for that overstitching because I'm so used to looking at it. You get that 1/4 inch visual right there. So there we go. Let's see if we can get you in a little more. No, that's too much, I think. Right there. We don't want you to miss it, right? Okay, so let's do one more. And we'll just fill these in, and I'll try to do that little bit shallower curve on this one. Back down. Cut it a little shallower here and get out to that edge. And a little baby one to fill in this space. So cute, I love it. So this one's only half, but I'm going to keep filling this in. So I think that a lot of times when we have a little edge, it is important that we continue the design. So how are we going to do it? Sometimes if you can't visualize this, this is what I do. I'm just going to pretend that this guy goes all the way, right? And then you have like, okay. So what I'll do here is I'll sew out and I'll kind of slowly come back in. And this is the line, so I'll come out and then I'll shift just slightly and come back in. And here I'll put this one in because that one will fit. So I think that if there's a way that you can visualize what you need out to the border, I think that helps make the design look complete. So I think it's worth doing that if you can. Center. Use my little visual wedge to put the next one in. And maybe I'll make him a little bigger to fill in that space. Okay, and here's the tricky part. So as we come up, I mean, we could even put that in if we wanted to, but if we have a seam, then there might be a reason not to. So I just one stitch up and come back in. And then fill that in. And let's come over here and we'll just do like a little echo line right there. And we'll put some little curves in there. And tack it off. Then it won't look so lonely on that side. All right, let's cut it and then we'll move out and we'll show you what we got. Okay, let's do some erasing. All those chalk marks, man, they make it hard to see what we're doing. Oh, we missed one on this side. See, he really looks lonely right there, doesn't he? All right, let's move out so we can give you a better view. and maybe a little bit more of a whole kind of a look. So would I come back in here and fill this in? I would. And I'm realizing that this, boy, that looks really off. So I don't know. I don't know what we'll do. That one looks off. I can live with this one, even that one, but they're all kind of shifted. So what that tells me is that my clamshells aren't really lined up well. Darn it. But that's okay. I'm just going with it. So maybe some extra lines might help de-emphasize that. We'll figure it out later. But, you know, kind of makes them look like they're leaning this way. So maybe they're just moving along, walking clamshells. Okay, let's flip it over and we'll show you the other side. Make sure I didn't mess up. See that's the variegated thread on the front, and look at how much it's softer on this side. This is that really fine thread. This is the 80 weight Deco Bob on this side, so really fine, and definitely makes a big difference to the look. It's much more subtle on this side, much softer. Even the little being off doesn't really show as much because this is just so much more subtle right there. So let's see what we're saying. Linda Martindale, not everything I do looks awesome. I only show you the awesome stuff. Oh, at least I try to. I have lots of messy stuff too. I learn every day, just like everybody. All right. No questions. You're mesmerized. I'm hypnotizing you. Is there a sketch of the total design? So I've had somebody ask me this before. So Judy, I think another lady was asking about this whole piece. So this is a sample that I made for Fun and Fancy, and that is one of the free classes that I offer through So Steady's education program. And I will tell you that if I teach a class, I always try to vary it up. So even if you take it a second time, some of the designs will be the same for sure, but some of them won't. I always try to put something new, like this one was different than the one that I had done before. And some of these with this stack, that was something I had done different before, but I've done this many times, and the clamshell is pretty common. But I always try to add in at least one or two things that are different so that people that have maybe seen it before can get a new inspiration. It kind of keeps the class fresh. It forces me to innovate, which is good too. But this is something that's not necessarily out there that is readily available unless you had signed up for the class and taken it already. So I don't really have a sketch of this. What I can try to do is take a picture of it, but all of the base designs, like this is Circles on Quilts 21, and this right here, I'll pull the templates out real quick since I've had this question a few times. Okay, so this right here is Circles on Quilts 21, and this is a center pin driven. So, you sew this part and then you turn it on the pin, and you sew this part and then you turn it and you sew the next one. And this is actually 2 iterations. This particular template, it turns 90 degrees. So you're going to get these 4 lobes right here in one rotation all the way around. And then you would turn it 45 degrees and you would do the second one. That's how you get this inner shape. Then this part right here is just using the oval. And let me show you, there's 2 parts to the oval. So you can always choose which one. We showed you the first part, which is the one that we did with the clamshells. That's this one. But in order to make this arc, I actually use this right here. This is the inside of the arc, right? These are inner and outer. So this one's a little bigger when you sew it out. So I use that to go from point to point to make these arcs. And that's how I made this center piece. So this sews out around 7.5. And so that means that this box right here probably is 7.5 because this fits point to point and fills the box completely. And then here, this is the back to back. And so I just did the regular back to back. And then I used the wider one and just echoed it by pushing it up. So if this is the stitch line and I push this up 1/4 inch, I can echo just by moving the template forward. So that's what this outer position is. And then the circles were just little circles, you know, the little circle right here. And I did some of them with the spiral, and then we showed you in the other session the hopping over and using the jump stitch for this yin and yang fitting. And that's it. And then this is just moving the back-to-back template down. So when I do the first row, then I'm going to shift it by one of these lines right here each time. So the first iteration will be on the line, and then I'll scoot it over to the next line and start for the next one, and then scoot it over for the next one. And that's how we do this crisscross design right here. That's how that was created. So there was a center line. So there isn't really a sketch of that, but if you ever see me offering that fun and fancy class, which is usually a free class through So Steady, sponsor agencies like different quilt shops can say, hey, I want to do a beginning class. I want to do a fun and fancy. I want to do essence of design. It depends on who the designers are too. I mean, we have several different people that are all educating, and a lot of them have their own content. So this is my introduction to fun and fancy. It kind of uses every one of the templates, and that way what I thought would be fun is just to show, you know, when we quilt it up, we have that initial picture of this without any embellishments. And then if you embellish it, how it looks. So actually, I'll pull up one more sample just to remind everybody. So here is essentially those designs without that embellishment, right? So here is the cathedral right here. No embellishments at all, right? So this is a sample that I used for the class, but that has not been free quilted at this point, so only the rulers. So here's the spiral. I teach that in the class with the ruler on, and then these are just the base circles right there. And then this is right here with the oval. I use the arcs, and then this little secondary echo is from the back to back. So that shows you how you can make this little interior space, which creates, I think, a lot more drama than just this open area right here. And then, again, this is the oval used to put the little arcs between the points. I think that oval works really well, and it's really easy to line up. And then this is the other spin effects that's in that set. And then this is mixing of that Circles on Quilts 21. You can see the 4 lobes right there. And then I put the ovals in the alternate 45. So you can see this would be a change in that design that we have on the piece that we were already working on. And this totally changes the look right there. So anyway, I'll try to post this as a picture and put the other one next to it, and just put those out there so you can see kind of the difference of what that Freemotion does, and then you can use any of those tools if you want to. So, okay, so yes, I'm sorry there's no sketch for that. Oh, screenshot. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, let's see. So let's see. Somebody said, I did my first ruler layout. So funny how I'm used to your low, close camera view. Oh, so I'm not really sure what she's saying, but she's saying that she loved getting started, which is great. Let's see who that is. Oh, Pacola. So she's one of my local girls. She's the Aunt Silva shopper, and I met her through my work with my local quilt shop. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you. So good. Somebody said they like how I think. Well, I'm really glad. I appreciate the compliment. I want to see how you think. Let's see what you guys are doing. So send me some pictures. You can, I won't post them if you don't want them, to be posted, but you can just send them to me through Messenger, because I would love to see what you're working on. Am I picky? I try not to be. I try to make the designs a little free so they don't have to be so picky. But, I think quilters are naturally picky. I do think we do that. We kind of second guess ourselves. So, yeah, they're swaying in the wind. Those oval clamshells. Yeah, they look like they were dancing, walking along. Anyway, I do like the concept of the ruler work is like when we're kids and, we had those coloring sheets and we would draw in the lines with the colored marker, even though they were black, we would like go over them with the blue or whatever, and then we'd color them in. And I always love the sharpness of that. And one of the things I like with the rulers is I do feel like rulers are a good training ground. So part of the concept of a ruler is a lot of times if we're sewing a circle, for example, people always say, oh, just practice, practice, practice. And I actually think that that is not very helpful. When your kids come out to the soccer field, we don't just push them out on the soccer field and say, oh, go practice, 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 right? No, the coach says, Johnny, you need to turn your foot this way. You need to come to the ball this way. You need to swing your hips in this direction. We don't just practice aimlessly, right? We need better practice in order to get better. And what I like about rulers is if I want to sew a circle, but I'm not capable of making this roundy shape, when I sew it with the ruler, I'm getting the kinesthetic information to make that curl rounder than I'm capable of doing it without the ruler. So what happens with the ruler is we're separating the action of the stitching and the design. So once I put this on here and I'm ready to sew, and I've already selected my position, I've already determined exactly where the design is going to go, number one, and what the shape is, number two. So the ruler does all of that for me. And then after that, now all I have to do is just concentrate on the sewing process. But look at this kinesthetic information that I'm getting. I'm getting this into my shoulders, into my fingertips, into my eyeballs. So everything about this is training me to make that circle. So then when I take the ruler off, now I can make a round circle. And I can do it much more effectively than I ever could before I use the ruler. And the more that I repeat the motion with the ruler, the more effective I am without it. So I do think that rulers, I like to call this guided motion. And guided motion is the transition to the free motion. So once I was working with the rulers, I could really tell after about a year or two how much more effective I was at all of the free motion designs I wanted to do. So, okay, that's a lot of talking, not a lot of sewing, right? I know, I'm sorry. Okay, but I think that's really important. I think that you can definitely see that's going to make you a better quilter overall when we do that. So anyway, that's all the designs that I have for today. So I won't just keep you here and just keep talking to you because I want you to go sew. So have a great day. I'll post this and I'm going to go ahead and put it on my YouTube channel as well. I'm loading everything to YouTube usually within a day or two. I think it's easier to find what you need, and I always try to label whatever the concept. So this series, I'm calling it the Quilt the Tar Out of It. So that should be in the label, Quilt the Tar. So if you use tar as a search engine on my playlist, and I also put all of my Free Motion Fridays on the Free Motion Fridays playlist, so you won't have to look quite as hard if you're trying to find those. So please share this. If you feel like it's valuable, share it with a friend. And there's no pressure. I'm not trying to force people to do that. If you don't want to do it, it's fine. I'm okay with it. But, if it helps you and somebody else can be helped by that, that's what we're hoping for. So have a terrific day, and I'm going to go eat my eggs. So we'll see you on Sunday. Somebody mentioned that they really wanted to see some more ideas for the back-to-back. So I'm thinking that is what I will be doing. And my plan is to showcase some of the differences in the sizes, because there's a bunch of these, a lot of them. And I want to show kind of how the different sizes work. Yes, so Nan, I got my coffee right here. Coffee. So yes, coffee and eggs. But I think that's what we're going to do on Sunday is do some comparison of the different sizes of the back-to-backs and some different ideas for designs for the back-to-back. So hopefully you'll join us. And now I've just committed. So I actually decided ahead of time what I'm doing. Have a great week, and I'll see you on Sunday if you're a ruler quilter, and if not, I'll see you next week. So have a great idea. Bye.